And a stout defense it is for Tim Beauregard and these Fresno Pacific Sunbirds. They're the best defense in the Pac West in terms of points per game, as Ojide Boyko wins the tap, and the Urbanites will start with the ball and take their first shot at trying to score against these stingy Sunbirds, and Anna Fernils takes it right to the basket. So a good start offensively for the Urbanites. And now let's see how they look on this side of the floor, as it's Hugh handling. Get it into Hurt. Hurt from the mid-range misses. Rebound Williams. And another big difference for the Urbanites since the schedule is turned to conference play has been the rebound battle. The Urbanites, the second best team in the Pac West in terms of rebounding, as there's a travel there on Williams, have fallen off considerably in conference play. Their rebounding totals have dropped off by 11, and their margin has dropped off by 9. They've been out-rebounded by an average of 6 per game in their 2 losses. Facing the only team in the Pac West better at rebounding and one of the best offensive rebounding teams is Hurt again. Missing there. She's taken both of the shots for the Sunbirds. Sifawi's going to launch a contested 3 and splash it in. Tough shot there from Yasmin. But defender in her face, no bother there. As Ravenga is going to be called for a foul in the backcourt. First on her, first on the team. So after the foul, Green to inbound it for Fresno. Shot clock resets back to 30. Sunbirds still looking for their first basket. Ramirez had that knocked away, but it falls to Hugh, who airballs. Dangerous pass in the backcourt there from Ravenga, and the Urbanites looking to push here. Here's Williams splashing home another 3. It's an 8-0 start to the game for the Urbanites, and that's going to get a timeout here. No, not a timeout. They're going to pull it back here to reset the net after that swish there from Williams on the 3. So far, in the first minute and a half, the Urbanites doing exactly what head coach Jesse Clark would want them to be. Executing defensively. They've been pushing the tempo when they can. As here's a 3 from Hugh. Another miss. There's an offensive rebound, though. Second effort is good from Rillo. And Fresno Pacific getting on the board for the first time. And now the Urbanites will have to go against a more set defense here for the first time. Getting into Sifawi in the paint. Yasmin, size advantage on Hurd. Spins and scores. Yasmin has been hot of late, averaging 15.5 points over her last 2 games. Has really been something the Urbanites have been able to count on of late. As there's Ramirez launching from 3 and missing. Fernils comes back to grab the rebound and draws the foul. It's going to go on Rillo. First personal, first team foul. As the Urbanites will send Rovira Ayuso, Morrow, and Mitchell in. Williams, Ojide Boyko, and Ravenga to the bench. Meanwhile, checking in for Fresno is Angela Whitfield and Lydia Manu. Urbanites get it into Sifawi again. This time she can't finish, but Mitchell there for the offensive rebound. Kira needs some help. Picked up the dribble, kicks it out. Rovira Ayuso will shoot the 3. Shot clock still hasn't reset. And there's Rillo for the rebound. She's going to take it the other way in motion. There's a 3 there from Rillo, knocked in. She's got all 5 for Fresno, as also into the game. is Olivia Garcia for Fresno. After a slow start offensively, they've now got 5 points as there's a tough shot there from Fernils and a rebounding foul against the Urban Knights. It's going to go against Yasmin Safawi. And that's one thing for the Urban Knights they don't want to see, as Yasmin did make that tough contested three, but then there was a tough shot there from Fernils, and that's one thing Jesse Clark stressed to me in our pregame conversation, that he wanted his team to try to create the best look possible and try not to force anything up, as there's a nice give and go there from Fernils and Morrow as Maddie gets the easy lay. That plays right into the hands of what this defense wants to do. They want to crash down on the paint, want to force you to take tough shots. But the Urban Knights, 5 of 8 to start, as there's a three missed by Whitfield. Offensive rebound falls back to her. Green now on the drive, cut off inside by Sifawi, spins and rims that out. Box out there from Morrow, but still the rebound to Fresno Pacific, and that one knocked off of Green, and it'll go out for a turnover as Ojide Boyko returns for the Urban Knights, and Stutz checks in for the first time. Ramirez back in for the Sunbirds. Urban Knights bring the ball up, leading 12-5. Just about halfway into the first quarter. They try to get it in there to Ojide Boyko, but just not open, and that's something the Urban Knights are trying to cut down on, as they do generally have a size advantage in the paint with Christy and Yasmin down there, but Jesse Clark does not want his team to try to force it if it's not there, and that's an example of it right there. There's a tough contested three there from Stutz, rebound to Whitfield. And the last 2 offensive possessions for the Urban Knights have looked a little bit forced, as Ojide Boyko grabs that rebound. She'll push it ahead to Rovira Ayuso. Alba cut off there by Manu, who's going to back down on the baseline, loses that one out of bounds. And that's going to take us to our first break. 4:28 to go in the first. Urban Knights leading 12-7. Kezar Pavilion, Urban Knights leading 12-7. 4:28 to go, first quarter. This is Whitfield handling here for Fresno Pacific out of the break. And another missed three. That one off of Fresno. As Coach Tim Beauregard has been a little bit upset with the officiating early on here. As a few more subs for the Urban Knights. Williams returns. Claire Ricard and Amelia Doherty on for the first time. They share the court with Sifawi and Stutz. Meanwhile, for Fresno, as Williams misses the lay on the spin there, it's Hugh, Hurt, Ramirez, Whitfield, and Wilmert into the game, as the air ball out of bounds there. Steps out, 55. Great defense here from the Urban Knights early on. Forcing Fresno to shoot just 3 of 14 early on. They've shot 9 threes, as there's a turnover on the inbound. That Fresno pressure forces the Urban Knights to turn one over, and they score immediately off of it as Hurt gets her first basket. Doherty is going to be called for a travel before that collision. So no foul. So Amelia shuffled the feet. And she's going to sit down with Maddie Morrow back to the floor. Fresno brings the ball up. They're trailing by just 3 points despite shooting 4 of 15. Urban Knights have not been scoring as consistently as they did in the first part, and there's another offensive rebound. Whitfield makes it a 1-point game. Turnovers in the offensive glass the last couple of possessions as Stutz is going to be called for the charge there on the baseline. Looked like she was trying to pass it, so we'll call it pass and crash there on Stutz. That's her first personal. It'll be the third team foul, and that'll take us to another break. And before we step aside, fans, I want to remind you that the Art U Athletics team store is now open for apparel as well as headwear, bags, and other accessories. Head to back out of the media timeout here. Urban Knights lead that was once as large as 8 has been cut down to 1. Urban Knights haven't scored in almost 4 minutes. Whitfield for the lead. Misses. Stutz comes back for the rebound. She'll bring it in motion here. Dribble handoff there to Williams. Ball screen from Sifawi, who's going to try to back down, and that pass a little errant there, trying to get it into Yasmin. And I think this defense from Fresno Pacific is speeding up the Urban Knights just a bit, as I feel as though that pass was maybe a bit rushed, as there's another three, another miss. And the Urban Knights unable to grab the rebound. They swing it around to Hugh. Hugh driving. Second effort, no. Rebound, Sifawi. She'll bring it herself. Hand it off to Stutz. And Yasmin is going to look for the ball down low. Williams instead will pull the three. No, Maddie Morrow grabs the offensive rebound. And then cuts. Pass deflected. Good catch there from Maddie. Now she kicks it out. Williams in the corner. Miss. Another offensive rebound from Morrow. Here comes Stutz on the drive. Blocked. Good recovery there from Hugh. The Urban Knights are going to send Ojide Boyko out, Rovira Ayuso and Ravenga onto the floor. They'll have it on the baseline here with 16 to shoot. They inbound it to Ravenga. Swing it over to Rovira Ayuso. Fakes, kicks it out. Sifawi, top of the key three. No. Rebound out to Fresno. Looked like they might have touched that one last, but they'll have the ball here. Still trailing. But they've been slowly, methodically closing the gap after the Urban Knights started 10-2. Hurt. Handoff there. Here comes Rillo, gets the switch on Ojide Boyko, will drive and finish. And Fresno Pacific now has the lead. They've come all the way back here on a tough shot there by Rillo, who's got 7 of the 13, and then a travel. Urban Knights offense, after starting 5 of 8, they're 0 for their last 6. And now they've turned the ball over 8 times in this first quarter.
Really establish and she'll use patience, okay? Again, Fika.
Taking care of the ball has been a problem for the Urban Knights this year and is of great import today against this team that is so good defensively. They've really forced the Urban Knights out of their rhythm that they had at the start of this game. As Rillo driving the baseline, knocked away there by Mitchell. They get it into Hurt. Good help there, and that's going to be a shot clock violation. Good defense there from the Urban Knights. They'll have it with 18 seconds here. They can play for one as Christy Ojide Boyko is going to check in for the final offensive possession of the first quarter. Fernils to handle it. See if the Urban Knights can finish this quarter ahead as a miscommunication there, and that pass head straight into the bleachers there. It's going to be the 9th turnover of the quarter for the Urban Knights, and that is not a pace that you want to see them continue with. 9 turnovers in the quarter, already at about half their average, as Fernils takes some contact there. She gets the shot off, and that'll do it. An ugly end to the first quarter after such a strong start. After one, the Urban Knights trailing 13-12. And at the break here, we want to take a moment to the Urban Knights trailing by 1 as we get ready to start the second quarter. Fresno Pacific will start with the ball and the lead. They've got up 7 extra shots than the Urban Knights, and they've needed them, as there's an offensive foul. Charge that one to Ramirez for running over Fernils. The Urban Knights take the floor with Fernils, Rovira Ayuso, Ojide Boyko, Mitchell, and Felch. Meanwhile, for Fresno Pacific, it's Ramirez, Green, Manu, Rillo, and Sewell. 5's on the floor here is Rovira Ayuso backing down Manu. Tough turnaround, short rebound. Ojide Boyko back up and in. The Urban Knights get their first second chance point, something that has been their undoing lately, as Green is going to be fouled. Nice feed there from Manu. Foul called on Felch. It's going to send Jayla Green to the line. 9 of 12 so far this season, 75%. And these will be the first 2 free throws of the game for either team. No good on the front end there. And Green splits the free throws. 14 all. Rovira Ayuso handles for the Urban Knights. Nearly lost it. Dives on it. Manu to it. And it's another turnover. Already the 10th for the Urban Knights. And then Fresno nearly gives it back. Sewell finds herself open in the corner, misses. That offensive rebound is going to be secured over there by Ramirez. Fresno right now out hustling the Urban Knights in some of these spots. It's Rillo out to Manu, who drives, blocked by Mitchell. Fernils got knocked into there by Green. 3 to beat the shot clock is no good there from Rillo. And already this game's starting to look like that rock fight that Jesse Clark and the Urban Knights were hoping to avoid. It's been an offensive struggle ever since the early part of that first quarter. Very physical. Fernils handling for the Urban Knights. Opened 1 of 2 in this second quarter. Double there on Felch. Alba now guarded by Rillo. Shot clock winding down. Alba's going to take it herself and score. She possessed the ball for just about that entire possession, but was able to get in and score. Put the Urban Knights back in front. Is Hurt then on the other end, scores. All tied at 16, and right now Urban Knights have been playing a little bit slower than I think they would like to be. And part of that is they haven't been able to stop taking the ball out of the basket here. As they'll send Williams, Sifawi, and Ravenga back to the floor. Fernils, Ravira, Ayuso, and Mitchell will rest here. 18 to shoot on this baseline out of bounds. Williams into Ravenga. They get it now. Sifawi is doubled. Tries to get it to Ojide Boyko in the corner. Good save there from Christy. Felch out to Sifawi. He's going to shoot a tough three. Hits the rim. Rebound to Rillo. She's got 7 points and 4 rebounds. Tough catch there from Hurd, who's just going to fire from the short corner and put Fresno Pacific back in front. Fresno starting to stretch the floor in transition and get some long outlet passes going as there's another turnover. The 11th for the Urban Knights as the doubles starting to crash down. Air ball goes to the offense. Rillo's there. And Fresno continuing to outwork the Urban Knights right now as there's a tough pass. Another turnover. And the Urban Knights just playing sloppy basketball right now. Trailing by 4. Largest lead here for the Sunbirds. Whitfield gets the switch in the corner. 3 missed there. Rebound Whitfield. Second effort had that blocked by Sifawi. As Ravenga will look to push. See if they can catch the Sunbirds a bit off guard here as there's going to be an offensive foul on the screen there from Yasmin Sifawi. That's going to be her second personal. Urban Knights have only committed 5 as a team overall, but Yasmin's got 2 of them. And that's a big piece in foul trouble for the Urban Knights, especially with how they've been struggling to score of late. It'll also be their 13th turnover. And for a team that's averaging about 21 a game, they're on pace to maybe hit that number in just the first half. Green drives. Good help there from Mitchell. Fresno, though, able to keep this one alive. And then there's a steal from Mitchell. Kira's going to try to take it herself. Kicks it out. Fernils, open 3 in transition. Short. Urban Knights unable to cash in on the 2-on-1. And then there's another foul on Fernils. No, that'll be her first. Third team foul of the quarter as Doherty returns for the Urban Knights, who haven't scored in about 2.5 minutes. Find themselves down by 4 against a team that has really effectively closed them off on this side of the floor. And really it's just been, they haven't been able to get many shots up as they're good offense there, getting it into Ojide Boyko to end the scoreless drought. There's a 3 from Manu, good. Fresno's been able to create some open looks from 3. Not a great three-point shooting team, but you give a team enough open shots, eventually they'll start to fall. Fernils on the baseline, had that one tipped. Morrow, good look from 3, long. Fight for the offensive rebound, and the Urban Knights just can't quite get to it, and then Christy's going to commit that foul in the backcourt. First personal, 4th team foul, and that'll send us to our first media timeout of the second quarter. 4:47 remaining in the half. Urban Knights back out of the timeout, 4:47 to go. Second quarter, Urban Knights trailing by 5. This is their largest deficit after they led 10-2. They're being outscored 21-8. And right now, Fresno Pacific taking control of this game as there's going to be a foul against Mitchell there, defending that shot from Manu. So Lydia Manu will shoot 2. She's 13 of 20 from the charity stripe this season. 65%. She misses the first, so free throws 3 and 4 here for Fresno. Free throws 3 and 4 in the game. Not a lot of free opportunities for either side so far. As Manu misses both. The offensive rebound, the Urbanites will get on the tie-up, but Jesse Clark can't be happy with the way his team is played on the defensive glass right now. And it's a cardinal sin to try to even allow the opponent to even have an opportunity to get that offensive rebound on the free throw there. But Fresno continuing to work harder than the Urban Knights right now as Ferniels air balls. Morrow gets another offensive rebound. That's her third. There's a 3 from Doherty. Not there as the 3 ball has gone silent for the Urban Knights. Now 0 of 5 from beyond the arc here in the second quarter. And it just seems as though they're a bit out of rhythm and they've been a bit sped up offensively. Seems like they're just trying to get shots up quickly as there's a foul on Mitchell. And with Fresno in the bonus, that's going to be 2 free throws. It's going to be Tolbert to get the 2 here. Trinity Tolbert, 1 of 2 free throwing this season. Makes the first there. That foul on Mitchell, her second. So Mitchell and Sifawi both with 2 fouls for the Urban Knights. Meanwhile, Fresno has committed just 2 fouls in the game. Lucia Ravenga handles for the Urban Knights. They find themselves now trailing by 7. And they try to force that into Sifawi. It's knocked away by Green. Ravenga kicks it out to Sifawi. She's going to launch a 3. No good. Rebound secured there by Evans. The Urban Knights continuing to look out of sorts on that end of the floor. Green from the NBA line. No. Another offensive rebound for Manu. That's the 9th offensive rebound of the half. This Fresno team with relentless effort on the offensive glass. As another ugly 3-point attempt there. Rebound Doherty. Urban Knights trying to get something going here in transition, but Fresno continuing to hustle back. Ravenga, tough finish inside. And a much-needed basket for the Urban Knights, who hadn't scored in over 2 minutes. In quite a few of those scoring droughts. As there's an offensive foul on Manu, knocking over Doherty. It's going to be the first on Manu. Second team foul of the quarter. And 2 of those 3 team fouls for Fresno Pacific have been offensive fouls. As Sewell, Hurt, and Ramirez back into the game. They share the floor with Rillo and Garcia. They try to protect the 5-point lead with 2.5 to go in the half. Morrow driving. Knocked away by Ramirez. That's the 14th Urban Knights turnover. Sewell can't finish in transition. Mitchell the rebound. Now let's see if the Urban Knights can get something going on the leak out. They get it to Sifawi, who scores. Yasmin's got 7 to lead the Urban Knights. Closing the gap here down to 3. As Sewell will launch from deep. Another 3-point miss from a team that is not a very good 3-point shooting team. They continue to launch from beyond the arc as Ravenga scores in transition. She's 2 of 2. The Urban Knights now down by 1. And let's see if they can find a way to get themselves in front, as we're going to have another foul. Is that going to go on Yasmin? That's a late call there on the bump from Yasmin. The foul wasn't given until Hurt had fallen to the floor, and that's going to be the third personal on Yasmin Sifawi. And she's going to have to sit for the rest of the half, and now is going to come out of the locker room in foul trouble, as Bree Hurt's going to get 2 free throws. Hurt, who's got all sorts of gear on, athletic tape on the one knee, a sleeve on the other, and a sleeve on the shooting arm, makes the first free throw. And Hurt makes them both. Advantage back to 3. Both teams on pace to score under 60 points, and that is right in the sweet spot for where Fresno Pacific likes their games to be. So Jide Boyko picks up the dribble, needs some help, loses it, gets it back. She'll drive on Hurt, and is she going to be called for an offensive foul? No. Count the basket. Foul's going to go against Hurt. Her first personal. And Christy Ojide Boyko has a chance to tie this game from the free throw line with the Urban Knights' first free throw of the half, coming with just over a minute remaining. Christy on the season, 9 of 25 free throwing. Misses that one. Rebound to Whitfield. Whitfield now guarded by Mitchell. Rillo with Morrow. Tough defense on her. They kick it out to Whitfield. Whitfield into Hurt. Hurt from the elbow. Rims that out. Rebound Ravenga, and she's going to be fouled by Manu. Second personal on Manu, as Wilmert will check in for her. Fernill's back in for the Urban Knights with her 2 fouls. No, excuse me, she has 1. 18-second difference here between the game clock and the shot clock. The Urban Knights have a chance to try to take the lead here and head to the locker room ahead, as that rebound unable to be secured there as Morrow missed that 3. 3-second difference, 3.5. Game clock, shot clock here for Fresno Pacific, and they can just about freeze out the half and head to the locker room with a lead. After suffocating the Urban Knights in this first half. Good deflection there from Fernills. 3 to shoot for Fresno Pacific. It'll be Hugh to inbound as Doherty checks back in. Fernills will sit. Doherty will guard the ball. They try to get it into Hurt. They do. Hurt has to turn and shoot and air balls. And that's going to be a shot clock violation. And the Fresno Pacific team, incredulous, saying that that shot hit the rim. Didn't look like it did from my vantage point, but we'll see. So get another look at it here. As the referees are going to come over and review this. So you look at it here. Hurt turns and shoots. It hit the rim. And then since the whistle was blown, assuming it was a shot clock violation, There was no possession at the time of the whistle. It'll be a jump ball, and therefore Fresno Pacific gets it on the arrow. So they'll be able to freeze out the half here as they get it into Hurt. Hurt puts it up and rims that out. And after that lengthy review, the half ends with the score unchanged. We'll break for halftime. The Urban Knights trailing Fresno Pacific 27-26. Just those two players have been hurting the Urban Knights. They've accounted for 17 of the 27. And so if the Urban Knights can key in on those two and try to slow them down a bit, might have a little bit better chance slowing down this Fresno Pacific team that has not necessarily scored at a prolific rate, but have found enough to be in front as the Urban Knights straight off the inbounds get it from Sifawi to Ojide Boyko. And Christy's now got 8 to lead the Urban Knights as they go in front to start the half, as that looked a lot like a travel there from Hugh in the corner. Now here's Green for 3, missing. Rebound, fought for, and out to the Urban Knights. And that has also been something I've been watching, is it just appears, not all the time, but in some moments, as though Fresno's played with just a little bit more edge, just a little bit more hustle and fire. Is a nice feed from Sifawi to Ravenga this time, and a couple of Spanish connections to open the third quarter for the Urban Knights. They've got 4 straight and a 3-point lead. Hugh gets the switch onto Ojide Boyko, now over to Rillo. They try to switch it back. Hurt gets the ball. Blocked by Sifawi. Offensive rebound. Green drives. And Ravenga's going to commit the foul. And Green scores the basket. A little bit of an awkward play there from Lucia. Kind of just never really stopped. She was trying to contest that shot, just kind of kept moving and changing directions. Committed the foul there on Green, who's going to have a chance to tie the game from the free throw line, as Yasmin Sifawi is going to sit. And maybe Jessie Clark, sensing that she nearly picked up her 4th there and wants to give her just a moment to hang around in this game a bit longer. As Green completes the 3-point play to tie things at 30. Yasmin back to the scorer's table. She'll check in at the next dead ball. Ojide Boyko sets the screen for Ravenga. Williams, the screen there from Ojide Boyko. Miscommunication there, but Mitchell able to secure the pass. Christy backing down, turning and scoring. Christy, Ojide Boyko's got 10 points on a perfect 5 of 5. Has the Urban Knights back ahead as Green kicks it out to Ramirez in the corner. Drives, blocked by Ravenga, who couldn't quite secure the rebound. Ramirez gets it back, and then she'll be fouled and score. Who's that foul going to go on? If that goes on for Niels. No, it's on Ojide Boyko. It's going to be the second foul on Christy, as she and Lucia Ravenga head to the bench. Sifawi back in along with Stutz. And Julie Ramirez, with her first free throw attempt of the night, has a chance to put Fresno Pacific back ahead, and does just that. As Manu and Whitfield will check back in. Hugh and Hurt will sit. Urban Knights a perfect 3 of 3 to start the second half, and yet they have not changed their halftime deficit, as Stutz misses that 3 wildly. Rebound fought for on the tie-up. Fresno Pacific will get it. Urban Knights' first miss of the second half. as Jesse Clark right now, as much as he can, going offense, defense with his substitution patterns. Ojide Boyko and Ravenga back in. Hurt back in, and she drives. Cut off there by Stutz. Mitchell the rebound. Nearly a turnover in the backcourt there. It's one thing the Urbanites have cut down on so far to start this half. Ojide Boyko had the size advantage, but instead kicked it out to Ravenga. There's bodies flying everywhere. Mitchell now backing down on Hurt. Turns and is fouled by Hurt. It's going to be the second personal on Bree Hurt.
We have to see the look.
As Tim Beauregard was
Can we please look for the hook?
campaigning for a hook there on the spin, but it was bodies flying everywhere on that possession. Couple of different collisions there. Mitchell makes the front end, ties the game at 33.
Turn and burn, blue.
Just the second and third free throws for the Urbanites. Kira Mitchell, the freshman, knocks down both free throws to put the Urbanites ahead. And they force the turnover there, deflected off of Ramirez, as that's going to get Garcia into the game for the Sunbirds. Urbanites have the ball and the lead here, 34-33. Ojide Boyko has it on the wing, gets it into Williams. Williams backs down, draws some contact, but no foul. The referee called that a clean block, and then a silly turnover there from Fresno Pacific back the other way. Starting to close the gap there just a bit. Two straight turnovers there from Fresno. Ravenga brings it across for the Urbanites. Cut off on the baseline, kicks it out. Ojide Boyko, Christy drives, leaves it for Williams. Long three, no, rebound off of the Urbanites. As Green will check back in for Hurt.
Open push.
Rillo handles at a bit of a fend off with the off arm there, but these refs are letting him play tonight. Whitfield swings it over to Green. Green gets the ball screen. Back to Whitfield. Urbanites switching that action. Shot clock at 4. Rillo's going to have to create something here. Blocked by Ravenga. And now she leaks out in transition. Draws the foul and can't finish. But Luthia will get 2 free throws out of that one. Good leading pass there from Kaire Atua Williams. Foul on Anissa Rillo. That's her second personal and the second team foul of the quarter. Luthia misses that first free throw. Shooting at 77% from the free throw line this season. Good on the second. Urbanites leading by just 2. As I think both coaches starting to grow frustrated with the amount of physicality that's been allowed in this game. There's a nice spin and finish there from Green. All tied up at 35. Ravenga, guarded by Rillo, gets it down to Sifawi. Yasmin backs down on Green, spins around and couldn't quite get that one to go. Here comes Fresno in transition. Rillo misses, rebound, fought for, falls back to Rillo. It's going to be the 12th offensive rebound for Fresno. Green picked up the dribble. Whitfield knocked away by Ojide Boyko. Shot clock at 8. Good defense from the Urban Knights. Are we going to have a foul here on the drive? Another late whistle from this officiating crew. And that'll take us to our first media timeout of the half. And before we head to break here, fans, I want to remind you that the Art U Athletics team store is now open for apparel as well as headwear, bags, and other accessories. Head to www.artuathletics.com/teamstore. What had been rainy San Francisco, California today, with Angela Whitfield to shoot 2 free throws after that third personal on Christy Ojide Boyko. So both of the two Urban Knights senior Spanish forwards with 3 fouls, and that's something to monitor as we get deeper into this game. The free throw split. Christy back for the rebound. Ravenga gets it to Christy in transition, and she's going to be fouled by Green on that catch. It's going to be the first personal on Green as Hurt checks back in for the Sunbirds. Third team foul, both teams with 3 team fouls. Williams, the inbounder, gets it to Ravenga on the release. Lucia picks up the dribble, cross court to Amelia Doherty. Doherty doubled up top Sifawi. Sifawi on the drive, and she'll be fouled, and Yasmin is going to shoot 2 free throws. Urban Knights, after shooting just 1 free throw in that first half, shooting free throws 5 and 6 here of the third quarter.
Earlier, Jayla, you could have taken a charge. You've been awesome.
Yasmin now will shoot 2 free throws, 12 of 18 free throwing on the season. Rims that one in, and that's been a big improvement for Yasmin this season. After shooting 54% last year, it's upped her percentage by 12 percentage points. Good on those 2 to put the Urban Knights back ahead. It's that last foul on Green. She committed 2 straight on that possession. And now Lucia is going to be called for a blocking foul there. That's going to be her third personal. So now 3 Urban Knights with 3 personal fouls. And 2 of them will head to the bench along with Amelia Doherty as Mitchell, Ferniels, and Morrow check back in. .20 seconds on the shot clock here for the Sunbirds, who trail by a point. It's a 1-point game at half, and we've gone back and forth here in this third quarter. Yasmin still playing tight physical defense despite those 3 fouls. Here's Manu driving on Williams. She's cut off. Tough shot, no. Rebound, back to Manu. Second effort, no. Sifawi had that one knocked away. And after multiple efforts, the Urban Knights get the stop. The defense has still been good, but the Sunbirds have continued to apply pressure on those defensive rebounds as Morrow nearly turns it over in the backcourt. They get it to Ferniels, who's able to get it across. Near disaster there. Ferniels kicks it out. Williams wide open in the corner. Can't hit. Rebound Hugh, and she's going to run with it. Ferniels switches that with Morrow. Green, guarded by Mitchell. Hand off there to Wilmert. And then they tried to sneak one in there to Hurt, but the Urban Knights were ready for it. Now Morrow finds herself open, drives, and traveled on the way in. So wave off that basket. 15th Urban Knights turnover, just the first of this third quarter. They have been much better at taking care of the ball here in the second half. As Christy Ojide Boyko checks back in. Kyrie Tua Williams will sit for the Urban Knights. Holding on to this 1-point lead. And giving it away right there as Ramirez scores. Back and forth we go again here in the third quarter. Sifawi up top, tries to get it into Mitchell, who I don't think those two were on the same page there. It didn't look like Kira was quite ready for that pass. Yasmin threw it anyway. And the Urban Knights turn it over now on 2 straight possessions. Just as I had complimented them for taking care of the ball. Hurt now. Urban Knights switching everything with this tall, lengthy lineup with Mitchell, Ojide Boyko, and Sifawi out there. And then Morrow comes back to deflect that out. The Urban Knights with 3 6-footers on the floor, and as now down to 2 as Mitchell will take a rest. Doherty back in. 37-38. The Urban Knights trailing by 1. 5 seconds to shoot here for Fresno Pacific, and Hurt springs open off the inbounds and lays it in to beat the buzzer. And then a foul in the backcourt there on Ramirez. And that's going to be the 5th team foul. And so Anna Ferniels is going to get 2 free throws. And that has been one thing that's been interesting about the way this game has been officiated, is they've let a lot of physicality go, but both teams have been called for a couple of touchy blocking fouls there. Ferniels good on the first free throw. Anna shooting 64% coming in. Splits the free throws. Ojide Boyko, the offensive rebound, and Christy's got the game tied at 40. Christy's got 12 now, a perfect 6 of 6 from the field to lead the Urban Knights. As I think Yasmin or Christy are going to get called for a foul there, and either way, that's going to be a 4th. It's going to go against Yasmin. That's 4. As Bree Hurt will get 2 free throws out of this, 2 of 2. Free throw shooting tonight is Bree Hurt. Four personals on Yasmin Sifawi. She's going to remain in for now. Jesse Clark rolling the dice here. As Hurt rims in the first free throw. Bree Hurt now with 11 points to lead the Sunbirds. Free throw split. Christy back for the rebound. Ferniels is going to try to push it ahead to Morrow. That looked like a travel there in the backcourt. Some awkward footwork from Tolbert. Hugh found herself open, missed that 3. Another offensive rebound for Ramirez. Fighting through some tough defense. There's a deep 3 miss there from Whitfield. Ferniels will push again. This time stops and gets it back to Sifawi. Yasmin tries to get it to Ferniels on the baseline, kicks it back out. Yasmin, nice drive, step around and score. Nice move there from Yasmin Sifawi. She's now got 11. And the Urbanites have a lead. It is just the one. Hugh out for Whitfield. Urbanites switching, and confusion there from Fresno Pacific as they turn it over. It's their 4th turnover of the quarter after having just 6 in the first half. 15.2 the difference between the game clock and the shot clock. Fernils inbounding. Gets it into Sifawi. Yasmin lost it, but right there is Doherty to recover. Amelia picked up the dribble. Kicks it out, Fernils on a cross-court pass to Morrow. Morrow driving, takes some contact. That shot rims out. Maddie gets the offensive rebound, and the Urbanites now can freeze out the quarter. And stoppage there called from the referee as the shot clock should not have turned off there, as the reset should have been to 20, not 30. So they reset it to 18 on the shot clock. Almost a 7-second difference now. As Williams checks in for the Urbanites to inbound it. It's a good second opportunity to try to score to close the quarter and put just a little bit of space. They get it into Sifawi, who backs down and scores. Yasmin with 4 straight for the Urbanites. She's now got 13 to lead the team. Tolbert ties the game from the corner, and we will head to the 4th quarter all tied up. And before we break for the final quarter break, we want to take a moment to thank one of our amazing sponsors, Relation Insurance Services. Welcome back. To start the 4th quarter, the Urbanites have scored. To open the quarter, Lucia Ravenga opened the 4th quarter scoring to put the Urbanites in front as Maddie Morrow snuffs that shot on the baseline. Fresno Pacific ball with 13 to shoot after what was a rather offensive quarter for both teams. The Urbanites shot 6 of 12 in the 3rd. They scored 18 points and shot 8 free throws after having just 1 in the first half. Fresno Pacific scored 17 points, 6 of 16 shooting. It was their best offensive quarter, as that one missed there by Whitfield. Ravenga driving, kicks it out to Morrow. Morrow is going to launch the 3, short. Rebound Whitfield. Fresno Pacific brings it up, trailing by 2. They've trailed by as many as 8, but ever since, as Fernils commits that foul in the corner, ever since they closed the gap after they fell behind by 8 early, they've trailed by only as many as 3 in the second half. That foul on Fernils actually just her second. The Urbanites take the floor, as that's a 5-second call. Good defense on the inbound there from the Urbanites to force the turnover. 5th turnover of the second half for Fresno Pacific. Urbanites have a chance to extend their lead here. What would be their biggest lead of the second half. Ravenga takes a bump. Give and go there. Here's Doherty from the corner, short. Mitchell comes in for the rebound, and Ravenga, I think, didn't reestablish herself there before she grabbed that offensive rebound. So the Urbanites will give it back. But, yeah, for Fresno Pacific in that 3rd quarter, they scored 17 points, shot 37.5%, which was their best shooting quarter. They've made 1 3 per quarter. The Urbanites have just 2 threes in the game. Both of those came in the 1st quarter. It's been a struggle from beyond the arc for both of these teams. Green drives. Well defended there by Mitchell. Might have got a piece of that. Williams secures the rebound. Try to push the pace a bit here. Backs down. Nice feed inside. Mitchell missed the easy one, but got it back, and the Urban Knights have got themselves just a little bit of breathing room here, up by 4. The Urban Knights are seeking their first conference win of the season after dropping the first 2 here at home against a team that, albeit looks a little bit different this year, but was the second best team in the Pac West last season and lost in overtime in the Pac West title game. Ravenga was fouled on that drive there by Manu. It's going to be the 3rd personal on Manu. First Sunbird to reach that foul total tonight. So Jide Boyko checks out. Ricard in. Claire, who's played in just 3 games since coming over from volleyball. 2-sport athlete. Ravenga with the ball at 7. Loses that one off of Green. Urban Knights have just 5 to shoot. And Yasmin Safawi is going to sub in for this possession. She checks in with those 4 fouls. And for as long as she's on the floor, we're going to keep an eye on that. So Ravenga takes a lot of contact. They get it to Safawi. Yasmin turns and fires. Can't hit on that 3. The Urban Knights still 0 for the 3-point line ever since the first quarter. Ramirez wildly tries to split the defense, and there's going to be a foul called, as that looked like a clear-cut jump ball there. The Urban Knights are going to be charged with a foul. Fighting for that loose ball. It's going to go against Mitchell. That's going to be the 3rd on Kira Mitchell, as Yasmin and Amelia Doherty will head to the bench. So Urban Knights foul trouble now. Ravenga with 3, Safawi with 4, Ojide Boyko with 3, and Mitchell with 3. As Hurt blocked inside by Ojide Boyko. Still with Fresno Pacific, still 17 on the shot clock. But the Sunbirds, through nearly 3 minutes, have yet to score here in the 4th. Hurt backing into Mitchell, and Kira's going to be called for that foul. And that will be her 4th. And it'll send Bree Hurt to the free throw line to try to score the first points of the 4th quarter for Fresno Pacific. And the 4th quarter has been an issue for the Urban Knights this season. It's the only quarter where they are not outscoring their opponents. And in conference play, they've been outscored by 11 in the 4th quarter. Had some trouble down the stretch of late. But so far, looking better this evening, trying to turn that around as they hope to draw themselves level with this Fresno Pacific team in the conference standings. The Urban Knights at 0-2, Fresno Pacific at 1-1. Both free throws good there from Hurt. She's got 14 to lead all scorers, as there's Williams driving to the basket, missing. Mitchell flying in for the rebound, taking a lot of contact. Morrow's going to launch up a 3. That's going to be short. Mitchell battling for that offensive rebound, and it'll go out to Fresno. And this is another one of those moments where you wonder about the consistency of the physicality these referees have allowed, as Kira Mitchell took a lot of contact trying to get that rebound, but was also called for a foul on what looked like a clear-cut tie-up. Not saying they're necessarily favoring one side, but just seems as though they've been letting a lot go and then at the drop of a hat deciding to tighten things up or let a few things more go. Is now a little 4-0 run here from the Sunbirds to tie the game. Nearly a turnover. Ravenga loses it. And there's the tie-up. And that's going to be Fresno Pacific basketball. It'll be the 18th Urbanites turnover. But just their fourth of the second half. They've been much better in that respect in the second. Six minutes, 5 seconds to go. All tied up at 48. And this is something that neither of these teams have really had this season. Bar for the opener for Chico State, a 3-point loss. The opener for Fresno Pacific at Chico State, a 3-point loss. As there's a turnover that came off of Hugh last. But excepting for that one game, neither of these teams has played a game decided by 3 or less. As Ferniels returns for the Urbanites along with Sifawi and Ojide Boyko. Urbanites with their starting five on the floor here. Under 6 minutes to go in a tie game as the inbound pass. Somehow Ravenga got to it. It looked like Hugh was just going to wait for that ball to go out of bounds. And Luthia was able to get to it first and save the possession for the Urbanites after what was nearly a silly turnover. Christy from the corner splashes in a three. The Urbanites' first three-pointer since the first quarter. Christy Ojide Boyko's got 15 points on a perfect 7 of 7 from the floor tonight. What a performance from the Spanish senior. Tough defense there, tougher finish from Green. Jayla Green keeping Fresno Pacific in contact. Ferniels gets it into Ravenga, who's going to be fouled on the catch there. Foul's going to go against Manu. That'll be her fourth. So now 3 players in the game with 4 fouls, Manu, Mitchell, and Sifawi. As we head to our media timeout here, 4:51 remaining. Urbanites holding on to a 1-point lead. It's 51-50. Welcome back. So we've got the makings of what should be a great finish here at Kezar Pavilion. The Urbanites with the ball and a 1-point lead. Sifawi mid-range, got it. And it's that point of the night where Jesse Clark is going to turn to his 2 Spanish seniors and ask for them to take us home the rest of the way. They've scored the last 5 for the Urbanites, who lead by 3 now. Ramirez kicks it out. Hurt. One step in, rimming that out. Rebound Ravenga. Ferniels will push. Ojide Boyko tried to get the seal inside. Williams up top, gets a ball screen there from Sifawi. Launches a 3, rims out, rebound. Oh, are they going to call that a foul on Yasmin Sifawi? Oh, my goodness. Yasmin is just fouled out. Called for a push, which I'm not sure she could have committed with both hands in the air reaching for the basketball. And a big blow for the Urbanites as Yasmin now fouls out. And I really don't know about that call. So mark that down with 4:05 remaining in the game. Yasmin fouls out with 15 points, 6 of 12 shooting. She knocked down a 3, 1 rebound, 4 assists. And immediately, Fresno Pacific comes down and ties the game. They haven't been able to knock down more than a 3 per quarter, so maybe that is their 1-3 for the fourth quarter. as Ravenga fouled on the drive. It's going to go against Ramirez. That'll be her third personal. Both teams now with 4 team fouls. No, that's going to be the third team foul for Fresno. But next Urban Knights foul will put Sunbirds in the bonus. Ravenga rims out that first one. Lucia now 1 of 3 free throwing. Still can put the Urban Knights ahead, and she does just that. 1 point game, just over 3.5 to go. The Urban Knights now without Yasmin Safawi the rest of the way. Tough shot there from Rillo. Urban Knights bringing it up the floor. Ferniels is going to be fouled on the body bump there from Rillo. And these referees starting to try to take over the game here down the stretch. Lots of whistles these last couple of minutes. As Doherty's going to check in for Mitchell here for the offensive possession. Both teams now will be in the bonus the rest of the way. Doherty out to Ravenga. Tries to get it into Ojide Boyko. Christy guarded by Green. Out to Williams. Williams drives on Ramirez. Cut off by Green. Gets it to Ravenga on the cut. Couldn't finish. Rebound falls to Manu. And Manu is going to be fouled in transition. And that foul is going to put Lydia Manu at the free throw line. It'll be the 4th foul on Lucia Ravenga. And 2 big free throws here for Lydia Manu, who is 0 of 2 free throwing tonight. So Manu, chance to tie or take the lead at the line here. Ties the game with the first. Came in as a 65% free throw shooter. Rims out the second. Rebound to Williams. All tied up at 54 here. Ravenga taking a lot of contact there from Ramirez. Williams driving and dragged the pivot foot. Travel for the 19th Urban Knights turnover. Two and a half minutes remaining. Neither of these teams really able to pull away. It's Ramirez driving and scoring. Fresno Pacific takes the lead. The Urban Knights in an unfamiliar position, trailing in a tight ball game. Ojide Boyko is going to drive on Green. And did she turn it over? No, it was deflected last by Fresno off the body. As Fresno Pacific urging the referees to have a conversation about this. And it looks like we'll take immediate timeout here for the referees to review that out-of-bounds call. 1:50. All right, back out of the break. That call on the floor was confirmed. The Urban Knights will retain possession, and they'll have 10 seconds to try to tie or take the lead here. Williams to trigger it into Ravenga. Ojide Boyko sets the ball screen. They get it back to her on the roll. She's not fouled. That looked like a foul there. Refs are going to let that one slide. Fresno Pacific now is going to slow it down. So they've got the lead, trying to get off a quality look here. And fend off the Urbanites and send them to an 0-3 start in conference play. Rillo into the corner. Hugh, big shot, got it. 5-point lead now for the Sunbirds. And Jesse Clark is going to call timeout. 1:17 to go. The Urbanites now down by 5 in the fourth quarter. One of those threes tied the game. The other one stretched the lead to 5. They've made them when they've needed to. The Urbanites need a response now. Ravenga into the corner. Fernils, dangerous pass there. Anna on the drive, takes a lot of contact, and she'll go to the free throw line. Foul's going to go against Whitfield. First personal, 15 foul, both teams in the bonus. As Hugh will check back in, fresh off of hitting what right now is the biggest shot of the game. Fernils, 1 of 2 free throwing tonight. Good on the first. And has a chance to get it back to a 1-possession lead with this one. And does just that as Mitchell and Mora will check in. So the Urbanites will try to get a stop here, trailing by 3. Minute 9 on the game clock. Urbanites need to toe the line here between defending well but not fouling with both teams in the bonus. Green to Whitfield. Here's Hugh. Thought about the three. She'll drive and float it in. Jasmine Hugh has hit some big baskets here. She's got the last 5 for Fresno Pacific, and that's where their lead stands. Fernils driving. Hits that one into the bottom of the rim. And the Urbanites need to foul now as Doherty commits the foul on Ramirez. And the Urbanites on the verge of letting this one slip away. Falling to 2-4 at home, 0-3 in conference. Ramirez misses that first free throw.
Arms up, make them make shots.
So they won't be able to push it to a 3-possession lead. Timeout. Urbanites down by 6. Urbanites after this one will have 1 timeout remaining. And ever since then, this game has been played on Fresno Pacific's terms. Urbanites, after shooting 6 of 12 in that third quarter, 4 of 15 here in the final frame. Offense has gone cold down the stretch. They need to try to find a way to score here. Mitchell's going to be fouled. Kira Mitchell will shoot 2 free throws. Mitchell, 2 of 2 on free throws tonight. Misses the first one there. Makes the second. And timeout now for the Sunbirds. Lead by 5. They still have 3 timeouts remaining. could have really used her presence on both ends of the floor during the final minutes of this one. It'll be Hugh to inbound. Gets it into Hurt, and Hurt will be fouled. She'll go to the line now for 2. Shot clock will be turned off the rest of the way. Hurt 5 of 6. Free throwing. And with 2 free throws can make this a 3-possession game with just under 30 seconds remaining. That first one goes. Hurt makes them both to make it a 7-point game, and Jesse Clark's going to use his final timeout. With 28 nights tonight on 22 attempts. This team that came in tonight averaging 68 points per game on the season, for the second straight time on the verge of not hitting 60, as the 3 there missed by Ferniels. As Beauregard sounded like he very clearly called a timeout, didn't get it. Foul in the backcourt. Two more free throws here for the Sunbirds. Well, after an up and down start to this season, look to go 2-1 in conference and continue to be that gritty team that ground their way all the way to the Pac West title game last season. Ferniels kicks it out. Urbanites are going to have to get a shot off. Doesn't look like they will here in the final seconds. Wasting a lot of time. Williams misses that 3. And that is how this game will end. The Urbanites drop their 3rd straight and fall to 0-3 in conference. And the habits they built in that strong start really